And P.p.s is pretty fucking intense in that scene. You know, she's a wonderful actress. She climbs to her feet, and she collects herself, and she fucking gets up to the door, and she's got this gun in her hand, she's caked in blood, mud, fucking rips, tears. And she starts acting, and she's like, there are men outside who aim to kill us. And if you watch, one day you'll watch the scene again, man, it's fucking phenomenal. If you just watch Ivy's face, because you watch a 3-year-old's mind snap. It's so unbelievable. Carrie goes, there are men outside, they aim to kill us. And if you watch the scene, Ivy goes like this. And then she starts looking around like, did anybody hear this? Like, why is nobody moving? Like, Carrie's saying there are men outside who aim to kill us and shit like that. And she's looking at her mom, and her mom's going like, and the kid's going, why are you putting your thumbs up? There are men outside who aim to kill us. And she starts fucking freaking out. And Carrie's performance gets louder in the face of Ivy's, and so Ivy gets even louder. So, you know, Carrie's like, you take him out there now, god damn it, you do it now. And Ivy's like, wah! You know, she just turns into a fucking human howler monkey, just rah, rah, rah. And we're sitting there behind, I'm behind a fucking monitor, and I'm like, this is gold. And I'm looking over at Klein, and he can barely look through the lens. He's so ashamed and feels dirty, like I'm shooting my kid crying, and I won't help her, you know. And she's looking to her mom, and she's going like this, and you hear her going, "Mom, Mom, Mom," and you think she's talking about Melissa Leo, but she's talking about Marnie, who's just sitting there going, you know, but like getting like, this better stop soon, because my fucking kid is upset and shit like that. They leave, we go action, whole fucking room is dead quiet. And I walk over to Dave, and Dave puts the camera down, and he looks like he'd just been shot through the heart and shit. And I was like, are you okay, Dave? And he goes, yeah. He's gone, that was pretty intense. I said, yeah, man, don't worry, we won't use any of that footage, you know, in the movie. And he goes, no, you have to. He's going, I mean, that's a really wonderful moment. I was like, it was, right? I was gonna use it, I just didn't want to tell you. He's going, you should use it. I said, oh God, it's brilliant. And we're sitting there talking about how good it is. Marnie walks past us, she's like, fucking assholes, you know, goes out to get her kid and shit, and I feel bad. I'm like, oh my God, that's right. Everyone, the whole set, looking like a little guilty and shit, that like the kid was just crying and shit. So I go to Dave, I was like, hey man, come here. And I take out my wallet, I was like, here's $200, do me a favor. Go to Toys R Us and buy Ivy something fucking stupid fun, you know, just something cool for her and shit. And he goes, do me a favor, put that money on the pile. And I go, what pile? He goes, dude, everyone on the crew is giving me money for Ivy. And I go, why? He's like, because she was fucking screaming and so upset. He's going, I'll be honest with you, I made more off my kid than I made being the DP on this fucking picture. So I was like, right on. And she had a couple days off, you know, she didn't come back to set the next day. She came back the day after to do some photographs and shit. She's back to normal, just walking around like, this is my costume. Just very happy, playing with the other kids who were her fake siblings in the movie and shit. And then Carrie showed up, P.p.s shows up, and you know, Carrie's known Ivy the whole fucking shoot, regardless of that little thing the other day. They're acting together. So she goes to run over to see her, first time since that scene. And Ivy, and you know, Carrie's like, Ivy, and Ivy turns and sees her, and Ivy like looks down, like immediately just deflates. You almost expect her to start pissing her leg or something like that. And then P.p.s like stops, and she looks at me, and I'm like, go talk to her. And so Carrie goes over and like bends down to talk to her, and she's like, hi Ivy, how are you? And Ivy's like, you're not gonna act again, are you? It was fucking dope. So anyway, we got wonderful actresses from the adults and even the little kids whose minds that we broke. And it was all worth it in the service of Red State. Anyway, let's leave it up to you guys. I'm talking too much. I think there is a microphone that they'll run around. There it is. Okay, so we can do it that way, or you can just shout it out from the Manchester diaphragm. You yell it out there. Go ahead. Courage.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello.
Yeah,
Hey. Good. As I was watching the film, I noticed everyone was kind of guided by beliefs.
Yes.
Whether misguided or, you know, from someone above they didn't even see, which I guess is parallel to, I guess, God with, the, you know, like parks and everything. I was wondering, where did you get your guidance, you know, because obviously you believed in it. What guided you to go on this? Because obviously it's a tangent from what you've been doing before.
Oh, What guided me to do this?
Yeah, like what kept you going and everything.
I think like a lot of people, or at least critics, I just got tired of Kevin Smith movies, and I was like, let me see if I can make a movie that's not a Kevin Smith movie. Like for years and years and years, as long as I've been doing this, I look at other people's flicks and whatnot differently than I look at my own. Like I don't dream about making the movies that I make because I don't have to. I wake up and I could make them and shit. They're not. I don't have to dream about them. I could do that. But the movies I dream about making are like other people's movies, like Quentin Tarantino's movies and the Coen brothers movies and shit like that. So I always had this kind of dream of like one day, I always called it my adult film. It's like one day I want to make an adult film. And then Jen would be like, that's porno, you fucking idiot. And but what I changed to grown up, I called it the grown up movie. I was like, I want to make one of them grown up movies, man, where it's not about like fucking dudes bombing around the hands down their pants going, noich, you know, it's just like grown ups, no relation to me or my friends, just making weird decisions. Like in one of those movies that, you know, doesn't necessarily come from somebody's life. Everything I'd ever done kind of came from my life and stuff, and I wanted to do a movie that just came from nowhere, just made a bunch of made-up bullshit. And so that was one part of it. The other part of it, I think, was I saw Michael Parks for the first time in From Dusk Till Dawn back in 1995. This is how long it took me to thread this fucking needle. I saw his performance in 1995. Bob Weinstein, who ran Dimension, was like, hey, you want to go see Quentin and Rabbit's new movie? And I was like, fuck yeah, that vampire thing, fuck yeah, let's go see it. And he was having a special screening at the Laemmle Sunset 5, and I went to see it. And I didn't know who Michael Parks was. And if you've not seen that movie, Michael Parks owns the first 5, maybe 10 minutes that movie comes in as the sheriff, has a long conversation with the guy behind the counter and whatnot. Shootout ensues. Spoilers, cover yours if you ain't seen it. And 16 years old, so how the fuck could you have not seen it? But just in case you haven't, he gets killed. But his performance, like, was spellbinding. Like, I'm a huge fan of actors, and I'm a whore for performance. I think that's why I went into directing. I just like watching people take words off a page, make it sound real, like they're just thinking of it that moment shit. So I've always been a fan of performance, but this guy's like fucking from Mars. It's something completely different. Like you think you know acting, and then this dude redefines it, and he blew me away right off the screen. And when they kill him, I was like, no, that dude's the whole fucking movie. Like, that dude was amazing. And afterwards, I was telling Scott Mosier, I was like, one day I want to work with that guy. I just want to spend, like, could you imagine spending fucking 6 weeks on a set with that acting Yoda? Like, just learning everything, or not even everything, but some shit that he knows, because this dude obviously has forgotten more about performance than I'll ever fucking know. So I said, one day I gotta do something. I wanna work with this guy badly. And I couldn't think of what it was. For years and years, I mean, I liked his talent so much, I never wanted to go to him and be like, hey man, you wanna play like Silent Bob's grandpa? You know, I wanted to save it for the adult movie, for the grown-up movie. And I never knew what that would necessarily be until I saw my friend Malcolm Ingram made this documentary called Small Town Gay Bar. And it doesn't bury the lead, it's right there in the fucking title. It's about a small town gay bar in Meridian, Mississippi, which is a very difficult place apparently to be gay, where just parking your car and walking the 20 feet to the door is an act of courage because somebody could come out of nowhere with a shotgun and shit because they don't necessarily like what you do with your life. So in the midst of this documentary, Malcolm interviews Fred Phelps, the pastor who runs the Westboro Baptist Church. I think over here, and you guys maybe seen the Louis Theroux documentaries, The Most Hated Family in America. It's that family, the Phelpses and whatnot. So he interviews Fred Phelps in the documentary. And this is the guy responsible for God Hates Fags, that dopey campaign. I'm like, how did you when did this happen? I didn't even know you talked to this guy. I've seen this dude on the news. When did you interview him? He's like, a month ago to a month and a half. I said, how was he? He goes, fucking scary. It was weird. And I was like, was it weird for you because you're gay? My friend Malcolm is about as gay as the day is long. He looks like me. He's a big dude like me. And in the gay community, he's what's known as a bear. Big dudes who look like me are called bears. So if you want to get a picture of Malcolm, just imagine me with dicks all over me. That's my buddy Malcolm. So I said, what was it like, dude? You sat opposite the fucking devil as a gay man, the very thing he hates. And fucking interviewed him? And he goes, well, I didn't tell him I was gay. I was like, why not? And he's going, because you know, I pass. Malcolm totally passes. Like, you know, my brother's gay as the day is long. He's been married to a dude for 20 years, which is like 60 years in straight people years. But if you get him drink, half a bottle of wine and shit, he goes from passing to being like, oh, girlfriend. And I'm like, hey, I'm your brother, you know. Malcolm, on the other hand, you pour liquor all over him, he still sounds like a football hooligan. He's like, bah, bah. He just comes across real butch until it's time for fucking weenies to come out, and he's like, bah, you know. So he goes, I was passing that day. I'm sitting in front of the dude fucking passing, man. I sound like me. I was like, that's right, unless he asked you. I said, if he had asked you, would you have told him? He goes, oh, fuck yeah. I told him right to his face. I love dick, what do you say? He's going, thankfully it didn't happen. I got the full interview. He's going, but I'll be honest with you, about 20 minutes in, he's real redundant. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he just keeps saying the same shit over and over in different ways, quoting different parts of the Bible. So he's going, I started losing attention, started looking around the room, and he's going, thank God, because right behind him, off to the left, was his hot young grandson. And I was like, really? He's going, yeah. So while Fred Phelps is sitting there talking about God hates facts to me, I was staring at his grandson's junk. You know? I was like, really? He's like, oh, I could see it right in the pant leg, man. He's going, it was awesome. I was trying to get a boner just to show Phelps and leave. He's going, it didn't work. I was like, that's amazing, dude. I said, let me see the fucking interview. I want to see it. So Malcolm sends me the disc. And my wife is not a religious person at all, to say the least. She's not churchy. I'm Christian. I identify as Christian still. Not creepy Christian where I'm like, have you heard about my friend Christ? You know. He just works for me. I was raised in the Catholic Church and shit, and I left that behind, but I held on to my Christianity. And it's something that works for me, but I never enforce it on anybody else. Thank God, because I'm married to a flat-out absolute atheist. Not even agnostic. Not even like, well, maybe that she's... No, it's all fucking bullshit. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You know? And I was like, okay, amen. We make it work though. We've been together for over a dozen years at this point. Doesn't matter. She got her beliefs, I got mine and shit. You know, and I'm not intolerable to live with my Christianity. I'm the kind of guy that just, you know, I pray when the plane takes off and lands, and sometimes when I fall asleep at night. When I pray when the plane takes off and lands, I don't do it out loud in the plane where I'm like, oh God, save us all from your fiery death, you know, or anything like that, or even that quiet praying creepy shit where I just move my lips and, you know, close my eyes. You know, you wouldn't know. I was sitting there praying, you might as well think I was sitting there thinking about pussy, but instead, Jesus. So there I am, you know, quietly fucking praying, and I'm holding my wife's hand all the time whenever I pray, even though she don't believe, because it's just cover her ass a little bit. Oh Lord, I know she's a heathen, but please, you know, if we die, let her into heaven, because who else will I fuck? Amen. So invariably when I pray and I reach over and I hold her hand to just cover her with a few blessings, this is what I hear, hands down, coming from my left. Ugh. And I'm like, come on, man, really? And she's going, look, if you're going to ask Santa for favors, leave me out, man.